Don't freak out, everyone. I just got a new haircut. I'm feeling like I'm in 2018 again. But nonetheless, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Orion, and today we're going to be breaking down my top 4 guilty pleasure movies. Thanks again for tuning in. I haven't done this before, a breakdown of my top 4 anything, really. So if you want me to do another top 4 of my favorite movies of all time, my most hated movies, all sorts of stuff, just leave your comments down below. I'll get to them eventually. Thanks again for watching, and if you are not already subscribed, click the red button, turn on the notification bell, become part of the Super Chillest family. Thank you again for watching. Let's get started. We go back to 2020, where I bought way too much stuff, music, movies, games, you can imagine. This whole background was changed in 2020. So, yeah, Between Worlds. One of the first movies I've seen in 2020 that I just saw like 4 times because I was enthused of how funny and ironic and bad and just out there it is. It's just one of those movies you have to experience for yourself, because one of the things that makes Between Worlds rewatchable is just how insane Nicolas Cage is. And that's pretty much any movie he's in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, it doesn't matter. Nicolas Cage, just when it's a really forgettable movie, he just goes all out, and it's just the most insane acting I've ever seen. And poorly directed too. This movie was really something to see in your eyes. And yeah, that's why it's on the list, because Nicolas Cage is an insane actor, and you can put any Nicolas Cage movie on this list and it will be a guilty pleasure for you. Except the movies that are actually well known and people actually like. You know what I mean? The ones that are forgettable should be put on this list. Alright, moving on. We have another Nicolas Cage movie that I saw in 2020 or 2021. I don't remember when I saw it, but it was Zandalay. And he pretty much does the exact same thing in this movie. Has a ferocious sex scene. Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage, except he's a little bit younger. So, younger Nicolas Cage. Everybody doesn't know what Nicolas Cage was in the early 90s and 80s or whatever. He was a different specimen. And pretty different than what you got in the early 2000s, the 2010s, kind of stuff like that. Because he went insane. Pretty much insane. And all out in his roles. And yeah, he's pretty much a creep in this movie. Tracks down this lady and has the most ferocious sex scene. Again, painting. Like, he's a painter or something. Like, I don't remember this movie vividly. I never reviewed it on the channel either. I should have, but, you know, I don't remember anything of this movie. I'm being honest. And that's why it stands up into those movies that I don't really remember. But I do remember one scene in particular. And that's the dirty one. Everybody remembers something. And I don't remember anything of this movie, and it's why it's on the list. He's just a creep. He has the guy from the Santa Claus in the movie, and it's a good romance movie, I guess. One of his weirdest ones, but hey, if Nicolas Cage wants to paint and have sex, just let him paint and have sex, okay? But yeah, interesting movie. Most of these movies involve, yeah, like I said, these are dirty movies that I shouldn't have seen, but I did anyway. Who cares? We move on to The Girl Next Door, which is pretty much one of the best soundtracks I've ever seen in an early 2000s movie. The Girl Next Door is basically this guy who is from the movie Into the Wild. He is a kid that basically lives next door to a porn star. And he falls in love with the porn star, and the soundtrack is just so ironic. I love it, and it has some of my favorite bands, like one of my favorite bands in the soundtrack, Satchel, which is basically Sean Smith's band, second band or something. I don't know. I haven't talked about Sean Smith too much on the channel, but he's basically friends with Andrew Wood of Mother Love Bone. So this movie is just something to perceive. It's one of those movies you forget about, but you love the soundtrack to death. You know? One of those things. It's just one of those movies you have to experience for yourself, and it's not bad. I enjoyed it. It's one of those movies you have to watch when you're really super stoned or bored. I was bored. I don't do that, so just don't worry. Yeah, The Girl Next Door. Good movie. I'm gonna give it a 4. And then lastly, we have another stoner sexual movie. Sex Drive. I loved it. It was like one of those movies that you're really bored or really stoned and you want to watch and you put it on because you just want to laugh. You want to escape from this world that we're in right now and watch a comedy, and that's what Sex Drive is. All these movies are either 4 or 5 ratings, to be honest with me. I love them all. And that's why they're a guilty pleasure. Because they're out there. No one really knows them. Unless you're like one of those early 2000s, 90s people that knows these kinds of movies. It's just something to see for yourself. And Sex Drive is one of those movies that I really enjoyed fairly. Because I was laughing the entire time. It's one of those road trip movies that is, you know, the most generic road trip movie. Basically, this guy is driving to find this girl to lose his virginity, basically. That's the whole plot. And I was laughing hysterically. Basically, that's what it is. And yeah. That's my guilty pleasure list. I should have added more, but I don't watch enough movies to put something on my guilty pleasure list. It's either it's good or it's bad. Forgettable and stuff like that. You know, I don't ever watch too much movies to even make lists like this. That's what I'm trying to say. And what are your guilty pleasure movies? I would love to know, because some things that I watch are different than what your guilty pleasures are. And these are just my top 4, okay? I don't remember too many movies to even put on this list to begin with. You tell me yours. I already told you mine. Thank you again for watching, and if you want another video like this, please hit subscribe and tell me what kind of idea you want me to do, like my top favorite movies, my top hated movies, in between, whatever. Leave your comments down below. Thank you again for watching. This was a review or a breakdown. I don't know what to call it. Anyway, check these videos to the side, the new ones, the old ones, whatever, and subscribe here, and stay super chill.